From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your afternoon update.
You want to go where to buy a new refrigerator? Steve's A to Z Appliance in Cottonwood? In Cottonwood? Just a 10-minute drive. And they'll save us money. New and used, honest, reliable, factory-trained repair service and parts, and they'll save us money. And dispose of this thing? We gotta make the short drive to Steve's A to Z. Thanks, hon.
Steve's A to Z Appliance, front and main streets in Cottonwood. Drive a little, save a lot.
Well, it has been a grind, it has been a journey, but we made it through 1 year here at Weather NorCal. Ups and downs, highs and lows, the works. I want to thank all of you for sticking around here at Weather NorCal for the last year. For those who've been there since day one, those that you have discovered it between now and, of course, back then. I also want to thank all of the sponsors, both ones that came on early on to the ones that have come on throughout the year as well. Without all of you, the sponsors, the viewers, this would not exist. So I want to thank you. I appreciate it. Here's to 1 year, and here's to another year, and many years to come. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our weather headlines. It is warming back up, but we do have that fire danger increasing, unfortunately. The winds are going to be picking up a little bit here. The humidity is dry. I mean, we're getting that time of the year where that's going to be normal, but it's also heating up. So you combine all three, it's going to increase that fire danger. The heat wave will peak this weekend, in particular on Saturday, really Friday and Saturday. But the coast, we're talking about all this heat, the coast not so much, obviously. And there's actually a bit of a deeper marine layer today and possibly even to tomorrow. Here's your neighborhood forecast at a glance for today. We'll call it partly cloudy for the valley today. We're seeing some clouds kind of passing through for all of Northern California, but where we're seeing most of the clouds is along the coast with that marine layer and a bit on the hazy side with that smoke. Not only for Trinity County, but many other areas may see some of that haze and smoke as well. All right, let's take a look at that Shasta District Fair. Yeah, it's going on today. Today is senior day. Those temperatures are climbing up to around 100 degrees later this afternoon. But then once that sun sets, boy, those temperatures do get a lot better out there. So just be sure to hydrate yourself. We take a look at the next 3 days because by tomorrow, Cattleman's Day, it'll be 106 degrees. It'll be 105 degrees on Saturday. But again, it's the overnight hours, the nighttime hours, that'll probably be a bit more bearable if you are heading out to that district fair. Let's take a look at your smoke forecast because as you know, we've got the fire down to the south over Colusa County, the Sites Fire, almost 20,000 acres. Now, what's happening with that is it's producing smoke, but there hasn't been a lot of activity from the fire itself. So what it's doing, yes, it is producing smoke and it is producing some haze out there, but that's pretty much all I think it's going to be. I think some of us will see more haze than others, especially as you head closer to the fire, but you probably just really won't see a ton of smoke that you're going to be really smelling smoke and really seeing that air quality decrease as a result. As we go into your Thursday night tonight, again, still seeing some of that haze kind of pushing from south to north because actually those winds are shifting from north, now coming in from the south, working their way northward, and that could push some of that smoke, and not to mention haze, working its way into the area. But of course, still looking at those mainly north winds here along the coast. Speaking of the winds, they're the north winds for the coast. Now for the valley for today, you've got a bit of a south wind, especially for Willows, Chico, working its way up on the east side of the valley. But you'll notice places like Redding and Red Bluff, kind of the west side of Shasta County, west side of Tehama County, we're seeing those winds coming in more from the northwest and a little breezy too, especially in those foothills and on the west side of the valley. So that's going to have an impact on our fire danger, and not to mention some of that haze and smoke that we'll see out there. Now we go into your Friday, 6 p.m. Now look at the winds. Northwest winds for Redding and Red Bluff, but not coming from the north for Chico and Willows, more from the south. And then we do have those north winds along the coast and a little breezy towards the north and east. Shasta Valley looking at those gusts over 20 miles per hour. Now check out Saturday because now it's just kind of an overall south wind. Now it's better to have a south wind than a north wind. That's just the bottom line. But really, you don't want winds in general this time of the year. South or north. Those winds are blowing. You got the dry fuels. You've got the heat. That's going to increase the fire danger. So let's take a look at that fire danger going in the next few days. So today, not that bad, right? We're talking about moderate to high. You see some yellows, you see oranges. You're kind of within that area right here. I'm going to take you into Friday. Now look at Friday. Notice number one, where we have those stronger northwest winds for the north end of the valley, that's where we have the highest fire danger. It's not as bad, but still high with those southerly winds for Corning and Chico and Willows. But another thing I want to point out, look at Shasta Valley and Siskiyou County. Look at some of the high plains and some of those valleys in the mountains off to the east. We're beginning to get more and more days where we are seeing the moderate to high fire danger. Because the thing is, we've been looking at weeks of heat, wind, and drying fuels. So as a result, we're going to start seeing not just the valley getting caught up in that high fire danger, but eventually more making its way into the higher elevations. Because look at Saturday. Again, the south wind, that's favorable for the most part, but when the winds are blowing and it's hot and it's dry, doesn't matter which way those winds are blowing, it can be dangerous. And that's why we've got that high fire danger for all of the valley on Saturday. But look at the mountains. Shasta Valley, moderate. Look at Modoc County and Lassen County. You're getting in that moderate to high to even getting into well into that high range. So you see what I'm talking about. It's heating up, the winds are picking up, and it's drying out even for the higher elevations. All right, so here's the satellite image. You may have noticed this morning a lot of cloud cover moving overhead, but mainly in the form of high and mid-level clouds for most of us. Not, of course, we're seeing that those stratus clouds, kind of the more like fog and just kind of the gray skies over the coast. But elsewhere, just a lot of those high and mid-level clouds that we've seen here for the first half of the day, those will be moving out later on this afternoon and evening and clearing out. But it is warming back up. We're going to notice that. I'm not necessarily concerned about this bubble of heat. It's this one over here. Watch what happens as we go into Friday and Saturday. This bubble of heat is making its way back into the desert southwest. Now that's where the main heat is going to be. And it's going to extend into our area. And that's why our temperatures are increasing. That's why I'm expecting 105, 106 degrees, right? Now, this is trying to build an even stronger. It's going to be persistent for Sunday and into early next week. You see how it's not moving much? But look at all the activity up to our north. You got that colder air riding to the north, keeping that heat from building up anymore into our region. This, you can see what's happening. You see how slowly, but see what's happening? We're not seeing much change here. This bubble of heat is getting stronger, but it's not expanding much more over our region because this right here is preventing that from happening. And in fact, by the time we get to Thursday, Friday of next week, you're looking at potential of a drop in the temperatures. But really from Sunday through Wednesday of next week, you kind of saw how we're just kind of stuck in this little in this little area right here. We're just going to level off those temperatures for 3-4 days before we see the cooler weather possibly by the end of next week. All right, so let's take a look at the heat advisory out there. This won't take effect until Saturday, by the way. So the highs are going to be upwards of 105, 106 degrees for the valley. Now, if you remember with the last heat advisory and eventually when it turned into an excessive heat warning, it did extend more outwards into the foothills and some of those higher elevations. But really, for the most part, it's going to be confined just in the valley where we expect some of those hottest temperatures. Now, keep in mind, Friday will be just as hot as Saturday. So honestly, I don't know why the Weather Service isn't including Friday in that, but we'll see. But bottom line, it's going to be hot. So you can see the clouds later this afternoon, mainly off to the east, clearing out for the valley and really everywhere else, with the exception of the coast. You're seeing that marine layer. I mean, that's a pretty intense marine layer too. We're not seeing it much clearing out. In fact, Friday morning, still the fog in inland valleys, seeing that as well, but sunny skies elsewhere. Let's take you into Friday afternoon. That marine layer begins to erode away a bit and actually make it to see some sunshine for your Friday afternoon for parts of the coast. Afternoon cumulus clouds, but still staying dry for your Friday for the higher elevations. But that marine layer returns Saturday morning, especially for Eureka, maybe not as much for Crescent City. And then you see the clearing here, but there's the next shot of marine air pushing eastward. So we may see more of that fog coming in late in the day, Saturday night. Otherwise dry with partly cloudy skies in the higher elevations, but sunny skies for the valley. Okay, let's take a look at our forecast here. And for today, temperatures are warming up. Now, we're splitting hairs, right? We could get up to 100 degrees for some of the surrounding areas of Reading, but for the most part, upper 90s for Cottonwood northward, really Red Bluff northward. Mid 90s for Corning southward. In fact, maybe even some low 90s by the time you get to, say, Willows closer to Sacramento. 80s and 90s for the higher elevations, low 60s for the coast. Here's your 7-day outlook for the valley. Again, there's the peak of the heat wave. So Friday actually may be warmer than Saturday, but we have the heat advisory on Saturday, not so much on Friday. All right, so you get the idea. We got to maybe iron out the details on that heat advisory. That's coming from the National Weather Service, not me. But I am telling you that tomorrow will be just as hot, if not hotter, than Saturday. And then those temperatures start to remember us talking about leveling out? About 100 degrees. Sunday through Wednesday, take you out to Red Bluff, upper 90s about 100, upper 90s for about 100 degrees here as well for Chico. All right, let's take a look at your 7-day outlook for the coast, inland, and Weaverville. Of course, the hazy skies. That may even extend on into your Friday as well, but it's heating up. You see how it's kind of peaking on Friday, Saturday, and then leveling out for the coast, leveling out for inland, and not to mention in Weaverville. And of course, for the mountains in Siskiyou, Modoc County, and the Eastern Mountains, we're kind of peaking around Friday, Saturday, right? We're seeing that for everybody there in the mountains. And then it starts to drop on Sunday, leveling out, especially by the time we get into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Let nothing stand between you and the tree stand with this great offer on the fast, durable Kubota Sidekick. Featuring a gas-powered engine that delivers a top speed of 40 miles per hour, outstanding acceleration and handling with cargo, and a 2-year, 1,000-hour warranty. Get the Sidekick now for 0 down, 0% APR for 36 months or save $1,000.
Tractors, trailers, rentals.
You do it all, we do it local.